I have a very strong reason to believe that paid advertising in 2025 is going to be exactly like ads were in 1965. Although we're going 1 year in the future, we're actually going 60 years back in time for what's about to come in the paid ad space. If you're new to the channel, you don't yet know who I am. My name is Justin, and I'm the founder at paidadvertising.com, an online e-commerce paid advertising firm helping 6- and 7-figure e-commerce brands scale through paid ads. We've profitably generated over $30 million in client revenue across 100+ businesses in the last 4 years. And with that being said, let's get straight into today's video. This is a little bit more of an off-the-cuff video right here with not a lot of planning, but I had a discussion this morning with my client services director about a show that we're both currently watching. So I had somehow never watched a show called Mad Men before, and it was recommended to me by a lot of fellow advertisers who were like, hey, watch that show. It's great. I think you'll love it. It's a great show. It's basically us a few years back. And I am noticing so many similarities between what I've found to be true in that show and what I still find to be true in the space today, and this discrepancies between some of the beliefs that a lot of marketers have today. Now, don't worry if you haven't watched it. I'm not going to go into spoilers today. And again, I won't bore you too much with some movie references, but I want to make something applicable for you as an e-commerce brand owner and paid ads marketer for this year to come, okay? Because right now, basically what I asked this morning, I was thinking about the hierarchy of roles in the show. And basically, if you're not familiar with the show, very quick summary of what it is. It's a marketing agency in the 60s, advertising for some of the largest brands in the US, okay? And in fact, even in the world. So that being said, besides the actual partner or managing partner in itself, the highest paid person is the creative director, okay? So I don't know why GPT put those as 1 or 2. Typically, again, partner managing partner, of course, is the highest paid person, but we follow the life of Don Draper, creative director, which is pretty much the highest paid team member on staff. Then we have an account executive. Then we have an art director. Then we have a copywriter. We have a media bar. And then we have basically like an office manager or administrative assistant in itself, which I find incredibly interesting because most people online are talking about copy or media buying. Those are the main two things that most marketers are talking about, right? And even now today, I feel a lot of media buyers hold very close to their heart the quote unquote art, which I'm going to put that in big quotes, art of media buying. And I find that interesting because excluding any sort of administrative assistance, the lowest paid position in the 60s was a media buyer. The second lowest paid position was a copywriter. The third lowest paid position was an art director. And then after that, who were the top 2 paid positions in a marketing agency? An account manager and a creative director, which I'm going to focus more on the creative director part today because I see both kind of media buying and also copywriting in itself as haven't had quote unquote glitches in the last few years. And here's what I mean by that. I don't think we were ever intended to be media buying focused entities or marketers or agencies. And what I mean by that is with the rise of technology, right? If I go back right here, the role of a media buyer is purchasing media space and ensuring the ads appear in the right places to reach the target audience, which I dove deeper into the show and the meaning essentially of a media buyer back then. It was a mix between a salesperson and a data-oriented individual. So like an analyst, if you want. Because on the analyst side, what a media buyer had to do is they had to look into spreadsheets, or I say spreadsheets, they had to look into physical data sheets of statistics, numbers about specific billboards or ad placements or TV shows, and try and make sense out of this data to forecast potential revenue for a client. And then from there, they had to go out and reach out essentially to these said billboard managers or these said, shows in order to negotiate the best bid for them and their client to win the quote unquote auction to finally appear on that said show or billboard, which again, there was a lot of manual input required here. But then I'm today, the data crunching part, right? The deciding where is it best to, place your ad and what type of campaign should you do? Platform handles that for you. Now, when it comes to the data analytics part, well, AI handles that for you. So now when it comes to the sales side, which is basically the equivalent today of uploading ads, turning on or off, specific ads, optimizing the budgets, so increasing or decreasing budgets, or perhaps overall channel strategy. Do I go Facebook? Do I go Google? Do I go TikTok? Cross-channel strategy. A media bar in itself is not a media bar anymore. There requires a higher degree of thinking here, not just an execution-based role. It requires something different. And when I look into a creative director, it's probably the one thing that hasn't changed, which again, I find that very fascinating because the role of a creative director is to lead a creative department. They generate ad concepts, which they think of the overarching idea behind an ad. They write copy if need be, and they oversee the overall visual direction of campaign, which in other words, that person does the research, they write the copy if need be, or at least some backbone or overarching framework of the copy, and they are handling the creation of the ad in itself, would that be a photo or a video ad. Again, going back to the 1960s, between 60 and 70 right here, right? And then whatever's left to like really execute and bring the copy to life can be pawned off to a copywriter, which ding, 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 today what a copywriter is again, a well-trained AI chatbot can basically be your assistant copywriter. And now when it comes to an art director, I don't feel like we have like as much of that nowadays in like a modern agency. I feel like this role is really combined with like what you would refer to as a creative director. So it's like, what does a creative director do today? What did they use to do back then? I mean, very similar. They do the research, they create ad concepts, they write the copy, they use AI to assist them in the copywriting process. They then work with an editor, which basically the editor is the equivalent of an art director today, right? Because once again, back then, if you look at the show, a lot of the sketches are done by hand. Like people are actually drawing the ads that they would do first before then going to the printing press and such. So they're first being hand drawn. Today it's Photoshop, it's Canva, and Photoshop has generative AI, or you have Midjourney, or you have Flux, or you have all of these models that can also help speed up the workflow of call it an art director, or today like a visual creator or an ad editor. I personally call those ad editor because they basically take a concept, edit it, and bring it to life, right? So that being said, it's like the two core roles that remain are these two, right? Then you could argue that there might be more of a strategic hand at play in the back end, like directs the overarching strategy of the campaigns, decides what channels to go to. But honestly, I really think that with AI, especially like I've been playing a lot lately, and I might make separate videos about that. I've been playing a lot with Moby from Triplewell, and it's like insane the amount of reports. Like when you know what to ask it, it's honestly like really, really good tool that can help you do everything you need to do on the account in itself. Like it's you're able to benchmark your stores with every metric against very similar stores that are in your market and see, are you above or below KPI with CPM? Are you above or below CTR? Are you above or below conversion rate? Are you above or below AOV? And then you can very easily what areas of opportunities your business has, and you can very easily then take care of those. So the reason I say that going into 2025, we're actually going 60 years back in time is because of this. It's like I'm looking into that, and seriously, nothing really has changed. The blip that we had, the momentarily blip that we had for a few years, was never meant to be the case. It was never meant to be a media buying focused field. All that happened now is that for a couple of years, we, by the graces of the technology companies, we had this window of opportunity where poor creative met insanely precise and highly accurate targeting and media buying with a lot of manual bidding, and then people could just like very narrowly target someone and show them an ad like so many times that they would shove a product down their throat. Like we had a window of opportunity there, great to everyone who captured as much money that they could in that time period. But what remains past that, now that in the last year I've proven time and time again on the channel, like nothing beats broad targeting. Now, I've proven nothing beats a simple ad account structure. We've proven that creative has to be the focal point of the advertising. And now that I'm watching Mad Men, I'm like, first of all, anybody watching this video, watch the show. And if you already had watched the show, I want you to think about what is applicable from that show in today's world. And the main lesson I come out of that is we're simply going back in time. That's all we're doing now, is basically we're not only going back in time, and I say that, is we went from a hierarchy that looked like that to a hierarchy that was simpler because we were so media buying focused that basically the only role you needed to have on staff was pretty much a media buyer and maybe an ad editor. So you had like two people on staff to run all the ads. And now, instead of having these two people on staff, you basically have this one and you have that one, and that is the focal point of the advertising strategy and campaigns that you run as a business. So if you've made it this far in this video and you are an e-commerce brand owner wanting to work with a paid ads partner that can help you come up with a stream of ad creatives for your business on Meta, TikTok, and or Google, click the link down below to book in a call to speak with myself and the team at paidadvertising.com today. On that note, I invite you to check out other videos on the channel for some more useful e-commerce marketing tips, and I'll see you at the next video. Peace.